Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. This week we've got food on our minds. Later in the show we'll meet the people behind Adirondack Creamery, a Kingston-based business making wonderful ice cream. We'll meet Maya Kamal, the chef and owner of Maya Kamal Fine Indian Foods, another locally based company making great Indian sauces. And we'll start with Arthur Zakowitz, a nutrition supervisor at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County. Hi Arthur, how are you?
Hi, Jimmy. Thanks for having me.
Now, the next two guests on the show are going to be talking about the wonderful nature of food and the stuff that they make. And people who are, who see that segment are going to get, oh, I'm going to go run out and buy that. But there's a large portion of our population who don't have that kind of ability to readily go get food. And that's what you're involved with at Cornell Cooperative. Tell me about that.
That's correct. I'm the coordinator for the Eat Smart New York program, which is designed for SNAP recipients. SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which used to be called food stamps. So we're trying to destigmatize that. And SNAP Ed is the educational component of that. And it's a series of 6 lessons that participants are enrolled in. And you go through this program, you graduate. I think we graduate about 100 to 140 participants each year. And there's lots of benefits. It's research-based at Cornell University, and there's great behavior changes, including weight loss, and just learning how to really eat healthy on a budget is the key to that. And it addresses a lot of things like food insecurity, food safety, meal planning, budgeting. Household budgeting is included in that, and the need is immense. The need is immense.
And the SNAP program is, it's providing food assistance to 1 in 7 Americans. So that's like 47 million Americans are involved in this program. That's a lot of people who need help just putting a meal on their table every night.
And it's the program is threatened right now. As we speak, there's a conference of politicians in Washington, about 41 congressional folks meeting together to hash out a farm bill. And the House side of that conference are looking to cut the program by about $40 billion, while the Senate side is looking to cut it by about $4 billion. Just over the past 7 years, the SNAP program and SNAP Ed has grown from about $40 billion to about $80 billion now. So the need is immense. The need is great.
And that's a result of the economy, the bad economy, the poor economy. I know that the stimulus package in 2008 had a lot to do with upping some of the money to the SNAP assistance program because people were suddenly out of jobs.
It was the harsh reality was that the gap between the haves and the have-nots kind of widened drastically during that period, and people have not recovered from that. So the need is pretty intense, and affects families mostly. Right, about 3/4 of SNAP participants includes a child and an elderly person or a disabled non-elderly person in the household. It's the bulk where the money goes to. And unfortunately, it's it's one of those things where people are not, there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of myths about the food stamp, the welfare mother, and it's just not true.
And you see that, like, for instance, when you read a newspaper story online about this program and you read the comments afterwards, you find this, vitriol, this resentment, this real anger towards people who are receiving assistance. And I'm often puzzled to try and understand that.
I'm puzzled, too, because, a lot of the clients that we see are referred from Family Woodstock or the Mental Health Association. These are families that are struggling just to get by, not only month to month and week to week, but day to day. And these are people with multiple diagnoses. Some of them have mood and personality disorders. They have difficulty just working a part-time job. So there's a lot of issues. It's very complex. The families that are in need, I think mostly just from my perspective, are folks who are not making a living wage. And I think that's really probably at the heart of why people struggle.
Yeah, and we're talking about this class of working poor now. You're talking about a family that, a family of 4 that has to make over $150,000 or $200,000 just to make their basic needs.
I think maybe that has a lot to do with it. A lot of the the anger comes from the working poor. They look at people who are also poor, less fortunate, who seemingly are not able to find work, and it's it's vented that way.
And there's also a myth too that there's a lot of fraud that goes on in the program. It's actually a lot less than people think.
I'm funded by the USDA, and the audits show it's about 1%. Well, 1% is not a lot, but you have to think if it's an $80 billion program, that's $800 million. And the bulk of that fraud is done by businesses. I remember in Kingston a few years ago, there was the Sunoco station. They got busted for, kind of cashing in on EBT cards. And that's the problem. It's usually, the level of fraud is not done by, a lot of SNAP participants themselves, in my experience, And the families that we address and that we work with, they want to improve. I had, we do a lot of recruitment at the WIC office. We go to the food stamp office, and I met a woman. She went through the program. She went through the Eat Smart New York program, and she lost 40 pounds. And she was there. She brought her friend with her. Because she was helping out and she wanted a friend to enroll in the program, wanted to make sure that she was getting her benefits as well. She's off of food stamps. She feels great. She looks great, and it's a great program. It's important, and why it's being cut, and that shows just a lack of insight, I think, from Washington.
Yeah, and it's tough that in this day and age, it's the year 2013, that there are still so many hungry Americans. We are one of, if not the most prosperous nation on the planet, and yet here we have a hungry class that you deal with on a regular basis.
23% of the population of children, live in poverty. That's inexcusable, as far as I'm concerned. Inexcusable, and to deny them, the right to eat, or to deny them, benefits such as SNAP is ludicrous in my mind. I'm grateful and I'm glad to be a part of working on a program that helps promote that.
Terrific. Well, you're doing great work. Thanks, Arthur.
Thanks.
You're watching Kingston Now. Next, we're going to meet Maya Kamal and hear about her locally based company and the delicious Indian simmer sauces she makes. Welcome back to Kingston Now. Maya Kamal is an award-winning cookbook author who 10 years ago founded Maya Kamal Fine Indian Foods in New York City, but soon after relocated her family and her business to Rhinebeck. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Why'd you come to the Hudson Valley? What brought you up here?
So we had twins and started a business in the same year, and it was a pretty hectic time, as you can imagine. So we wanted to simplify our lives and decided that the coming up to have a more country life was going to help us out. So we actually came to the Woodstock area and settled there, and our manufacturing was right in the area as well. So it was really quite convenient to be up here for us.
Now, you were a photo editor at a magazine?
A bunch of magazines, yeah. Yep.
And you ended up starting a food business. How did that come to be?
I know. I came to New York because I wanted to get into publishing, and so I worked for Us Magazine, Red Book, Good Housekeeping, and loved photography. So that had been really fulfilling for a while. But and then I worked at a food magazine, Savour. So that kind of combined a growing love of food of mine with interest in photography, and around this time, I was also turning recipes into cookbooks and finding that I was getting some publishing deals for my cookbooks. And it just seemed like the food part was calling me a little louder than the photography part. And I decided to make a career switch and go full-time into creating my own product line.
Now, some of these recipes that you're putting in your cookbooks, they're family recipes, right? You learned about food from your grandmother?
Yeah, well, actually it was my aunt, my father's sister. She's a great cook. She's passed away, but she really took me under her wing when we'd go to India on family visits. And my father also cooked a lot at home. He'd sort of play around trying to recreate things that he'd grown up on. And my mother's a great cook as well, although she's not Indian. So there's a lot of good food going on in my home. And the Indian part of it just really captured my imagination, and the food in my aunt's kitchen was really amazing. And so I started collecting her recipes and wanted to eventually see if I could put together a book that featured her South Indian dishes. So that's sort of how the cookbooks came about.
Well, I discovered your simmer sauces because I don't cook very well, if at all. And my wife was looking for something that I could prepare because she would work later than me sometimes, and she'd want to come home to some good food. So she found your simmer sauces, which are now available locally in Hannaford, amongst other places, and we can get to the other locations in a moment. And it's a very simple process. It's saute, simmer, and serve. Exactly. And even I could do that. And when I tasted the sauces, I was just blown away. So I naturally picked up the jar here, and I looked at it, and I went, they're based in Rhinebeck. How did that happen?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to find out how it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing about, if you're going to cook from a cookbook, you really learn that the thing about Indian food is that you're building layers of flavor through different steps. You saute your onions, then you add your garlic and your ginger, and then you add your spices until they have a nice cooked aroma, and then you add your tomato and your wet ingredients. So it's that slow building that is what makes it so delicious, but it also makes it time consuming to prepare from scratch. So all that's already in here, we do it for you. So all that labor that creates the nice deep flavor is done.
Well, thank you for doing that for me. Now, Indian food in restaurants in America is very different, right, than actual Indian food in an Indian household.
It is. It's a whole different animal. It's a cuisine that's sort of specific to restaurants. You don't really go to India and eat that food in homes. They're kind of dishes that have just come out of the royal cooking tradition of like the Mughal emperors, where things are very rich and creamy, it's like very rich ingredients. So in a home, there's more sort of a lighter touch and more stir fries and not so much kind of heavy sauces. So and also Indian restaurants mostly serve North Indian food, which again is like very dairy based, really a lot of ghee, clarified butter and yogurt and sour cream. So the South, which is where my family comes from, you don't find in many restaurants. Just like a couple in New York City will make that food, but it's more like a coconut milk based cuisine, like Southeast Asian cooking. So really bright tropical flavors that are totally different from what you find in a restaurant.
It's so wonderful. Can you tell me what we have on the table here?
So these are our 4 simmer sauce flavors. We do a butter masala, Kashmiri curry, tikka masala, and Madras curry. They're all really different from each other, but represent some different parts of India. And then we also do this spicy ketchup, which I'm particularly partial to. They eat ketchup in India, actually. It's kind of like a chutney. They'll have it with their fried tea time snacks. And so I thought it would be fun to sort of pull some of the Indian flavors into a ketchup and add toasted cumin and caramelized onions. And really, I was inspired by Indian ketchup and sort of I gave ketchup my own spin.
It's all natural.
All natural, yep. Mm-hmm.
And you've been in places like Sunfrost and Sunflower and Woodstock and Mother Earth stores, right?
Yep.
And I know you're at Bistro to Go. And then you got into Hannaford, a big supermarket.
I know. That's just happened this year, and we're super excited about it.
Yeah, you're going big time.
Yeah.
Have you noticed have you felt the push of that? Because people are now going and saying, oh, what's this? Let me take this home. And a lot more people are going there, right?
Yeah, we can reach a lot more mouths. I mean, it's an interesting thing, right? I mean, in the health food store, we're reaching our own demographic, and so in Hannaford, it's a much bigger demographic. So we're reaching a sort of a smaller proportion but there's so many more stores that, it's great to see that Indian food is finding its place in mainstream grocery stores because it's been a long journey to get there.
It's wonderful, wonderful product, and we're so glad you made it up to the Hudson Valley, and we have this now.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
This is Kingston Now. Next, it's the yummy ice cream makers from Kingston's Adirondack Creamery. You're watching Kingston Now. We're joined by Paul Nasrani, the man behind Adirondack Creamery Ice Cream. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Oh, good.
From a Krupp's countertop ice cream maker about a dozen years ago to Adirondack Creamery here in Kingston. How did that happen?
It happened. It's been a fantastic journey. It was a studio apartment. It was a hobby with a Krupp's ice cream maker in Manhattan. You can imagine a tiny little corner room, and I was doing it just for my friends and coworkers. I had made ice cream as a kid when I grew up on a farm in the summers out in Pennsylvania, and it came back to me. So it was something I had no experience, no career in, and I loved making it. And from day one, I wrote down every recipe. And it got bigger right from there. My friends at work bought me a bigger maker that had to fit in the tub. So I had to put it in the tub to crank it because it had salt and water in the mix. And then I eventually found some equipment that was actually at an auction in Grand Central Station, which was the next stage of learning about how to make ice cream. I had been researching the equipment, and I got into an auction, never had been one in my life, bought the equipment, and I left my job and moved up to Lake George, and that's how we got our name.
And you were it was a fairly corporate job, right?
Yeah, fairly corporate job. I was CFO of a middle-sized company in New York. steady paycheck, good insurance, good career, good company. Enjoyed being there, and
You threw it all over to
I woke up
go
and
to the Adirondacks to make
ice cream, and
where it's winter most of the year.
where it's short season
Right.
and small salary. And that was for several years. We made it for Silver Bay, which is a YMCA family camp, and they have an ice cream store, and I made the ice cream for the store. But the short season was a big factor. And I got married in the interim, met my wife, who actually decided to marry me once she learned about the ice cream, which was another story, but a nice one, most important one. But both of us wanted to keep the business alive, and thought one of the big challenges was, A, we were far from markets outside of the Adirondacks, and 2, we weren't really close to the farms. And we weren't close to the ingredients, so we had to buy prepackaged ingredients, meaning the milk that we use as our base was already mixed with other ingredients. So it was a big downfall, and I wanted to make it the way I made it growing up, which is milk, cream, sugar, and eggs. And so started searching up and down the Hudson Valley because it's perfect, because of all of the farms that are here and because of the access to the Albany region, to the New York City region, and the Hudson Valley. And lo and behold, was looking for plant space, and Kingston Economic Development Board said, wait a minute, Boyce Brothers Dairy's downtown, they're looking to do something interesting. Why don't you call them? And I called Rich Boyce on the phone and said, I'm going to buy all this different equipment. He said, wait, just come on over. And he had a room full of equipment. And he said, I don't really use this stuff. Don't even know if we really know how to use it. But look, together we can learn how to use it. You want to rent the space. And in 2006, he had never made ice cream base before. And we started working together. And it's been a fantastic relationship. And out of that also, we work with the Hudson Valley Fresh Farms, which is key.
Yeah.
Because that group, we try to source all of our ingredients from the Hudson Valley. And that's fantastic. We know the 9 family farms. We know the cows, really. We know where everything comes from. And that's a big factor in making the ice cream. And we try to source a lot of our ingredients. So we source Krause's and Saugerties makes our toffee. We gave them our recipe. So it's been a great thing. And our candy cane, so that we make for peppermint stick, which is our holiday flavor, is from Michael's right downtown. So it's been fantastic.
So it's really as local as you can
As
get.
local as you can get. And our if you're talking on flavors quick, it's caramel apple is our newest flavor, which
The
is
Empire State Caramel Apple, right?
Yep.
What is more New York and more this season than apples?
Yep, and it's the Empire apple, and it's great because we found Wright's Orchard, which is down in Gardner,
Sure, of course.
and they do the apples. It's great. It's from their orchard, and the caramel is from Cooper Street Kitchens in Stone Ridge. So every ingredient in this flavor, I'm very proud to say, is right from.
Now
our-
that's a new flavor for you, right? That's
It's
going to be out in about a week,
Yep.
and it's going to be exclusive to
Adams in the Hudson
Uh-huh.
Valley, and it'll be at a new Whole Foods store in Brooklyn.
Right, and since we don't want to go to Brooklyn unless we have to, we'll
Got to go to
we'll
Adams.
Go to
Yep,
Adams
any
here,
of
right?
any of the Adams in the
And you've got
region.
some other incredible flavors. Another great seasonal flavor right there is the pumpkin pie, right?
Yep, this is one of my favorite flavors to make. It's not one of the most popular ones in the dairy. It's actually from my mom's pie recipe, and so it involves a lot of spices and a lot of mess and a lot of pumpkin. And the guys in the world, they're always like, there's a big cloud of cinnamon and like all that goes on, but it's actually I believe that we've come really close to duplicating our pie, and it's one of, believe it or not, one of our strongest sellers of the year. And from the season of September through December, our holiday flavors are all very strong with pumpkin, even outsells vanilla.
Yeah, and the peppermint stick, right? Perfect for the holiday season as
Yep,
well.
it comes
So how many flavors do you have now?
We have 14 flavors, and we rotate seasonals. So right now, caramel apple is going to be a late fall flavor. Pumpkin is fall. We do peppermint stick and eggnog for the holiday time, and then we'll rotate in some fruits. So we do black raspberry comes back out in the summertime. So we try to always rotate what's based on what's available and what looks good in the market, and also what we can source from nearby.
And you employ local people too, right? You have about 9 people, you say, working for you?
9 people, 3 full-time, and the rest are part-time. And that's another aspect that's been great about making Kingston home for the business, is that there's a lot of folks that are the great workforce. And we've grown from 2 guys with a pickup truck and a freezer on the back to working in a dairy facility and working with a lot of local businesses. So it's been very important for our growth and what the company's about.
So the new flavor is going to be exclusive to Adams, but the other flavors aren't. So
The other
you're
flavors
in
aren't, yeah.
places like
You can find them in
ShopRite?
Hudson Valley ShopRites. We started working ShopRite, became very interested in the Hudson Valley and the Albany region in local products, and has been working together with us. You can find us Emmanuel's, Mother Earth's. We've got a great selection of stores throughout the Hudson Valley that carry our ice cream.
Now that aspect is different than actually getting down and making the ice cream, right? You've got to go in and say, taste my ice cream, and carry it. Right?
It's a whole different world from making the ice cream. Yeah, it's one of, I actually really love it. It's funny. I did do a little retail, and that part was hard because you always had to worry about the napkins and the cups and the spoons. But when I'm out, meeting with buyers or meeting with stores, there's not like, okay, open it up and give them a spoonful to taste it, and that part sells itself. Ice cream's fun. Most people will at least try
Yeah.
it. They'll at least try it.
Sure. And have you ever met anyone who doesn't like ice cream? I mean, different flavors you have a preference for, but I've never met anyone who doesn't like ice cream, reggae music, or helium balloons.
Yeah,
Those are the three things.
Yep. Exactly.
What about new flavors? Do you get ideas for new flavors? And
We always are looking for new ideas, and some of them are internally generated from family recipes. Our kulfi pistachio is a flavor that actually came from India, not a local spice or a local ingredient, but it came from a family recipe. But we get inspiration. Sometimes customers write in. Sometimes people have an idea. Could you tweak this? And, we'll play with it in the kitchen, see how it goes. So inspirations are always welcome, and that feedback's great because you never know what the next thing might be or the next combination that would be great in an ice cream.
well, this is a sneak preview right here of the Empire State Caramel Apple. So if you don't mind, I'm going to take
Yeah.
a taste, okay?
Go
I mean,
for it.
we're in a diner. What better, right? You want to take some too?
Sure, you go first.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Great job, Paul.
All right, it was a lot of fun.
Thanks
Thanks.
for being here.
Thanks a lot.
You bet. That's it for this week's show. Thanks to Arthur Zakowitz of Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County. Find them online at cceulster.org. Thanks to Maya Kemal. To find out where to buy her outstanding Indian simmer sauces, go to mayakemal.com or find them on Facebook. And again, thanks to Adirondack Creamery. Find them on Facebook too or at adirondackcreamery.com. Remember, you can find all of our shows on YouTube, and you can find that link on our Facebook page. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buck. We'll see you next time.